Howdy, y'all. Goose Father here. We got patch notes, and we're going to review them together. I'm live on stream this time, so we might have some comments popping up above me here, and we'll react to them. But we're going to go through the patch notes, as always, from a pig perspective. We're going to kind of go left and right here. We're doing it from two places. We're going to start with the official patch notes, because that is where you get things that aren't going to be item related. Those are usually missing from How Bazaar, and then we'll go over to How Bazaar because that usually has way more detail than the official patch notes. This is unfortunately how we have to cobble together information. I have feelings about these. So, the first one is that Colossal Popsicle no longer spawns things at a different tier. So when you buy Colossal Popsicle at Golden and you sell it, you won't get like bronze icicles. Cool. We were all worried about that change. We are all deeply concerned. We're terribly happy it's fixed. We're a little annoyed that they fixed an issue where the Colossal Popsicle would spawn enchanted icicles, because, like, that was an issue? What do you mean you fixed that? That was like the... Like, you are very unhappy to see a Colossal Popsicle it dig. That is, like, not something you're usually grabbing, but you're like, if it was enchanted, you'd be like, enchanted icicles. That's pretty fun. We'll play with that. It wasn't exactly strong. I'm not sure this needed fixing, but here we are. All right, boys, this is where the whole game deeply changes. Are you ready? Mountain Pass only spawns on day 4 through 7. Kiss a lot of that sweet monster XP goodbye. There is significantly less chance to chase down extra monsters for extra XP. This is only one of the things that makes that sentence true. Study no longer spawns on day 3. So now the free XP encounter that you could have gotten on day 3 is no longer there. Tiny Furry Monster now gives a choice of 2 skills instead of an XP. I have to redo all of my opening slides on the video I just posted on my overexplained. Heartbreaking. Got to play it a little bit, figure out exactly what that means. But nobody, absolutely nobody, will be getting to level 3 by day 2. They just won't. Starting enchanted item no longer spawns any radiant items. Thank fuck, because that was really annoying. That was like the worst enchant you could get. So that's great. Super happy about that. A Hexa has been temporarily turned off because the monster is too easy to beat. And they still have not figured out how to balance that. Perfectly happy with that. That's great. Monster rewards change. This I'm super happy about. The folks over at a Bazaar podcast have been singing about this for a long time as something they would like to see happen. Bronze, silver, and gold all give 2 XP. There is not an XP bonus for taking Warrior over the other monsters. You just get a tiny bit more gold. So generally speaking, the gold is not usually why you pick the monster. You get to go pick the monster that you want for the loot and not feel like a tragic loss when you don't. And then diamond and legendary monsters only have 1 more XP. So again, you get to go fishing for the loot. Like you get to go fishing for the day 9 lifesteal skill, right? You don't have to like pass up 3 XP to go do that fight and feel terrible about it, especially when you miss, right? Like now monsters are about the items they drop. That is such a good change, but we're all gonna reel and have a lot of readjusting when we find out that nobody is hitting their enchant until day 9. So Yep, go fishing for this. Totally great change. Way more fun. The whole point of this game is that your run is different every time and that you build a weird boar. It's a great. And welcome, Sampton. Welcome, man. Super happy with that, but we are all going to feel a big change, and we aren't really going to have our arms around what that change is in terms of how that affects balance, that everyone is going to be at much lower hit point levels, much lower experience levels. We are probably not going to be in a bigger board by day 3. like the PvE fight on day 3, we still probably aren't going to have all our board space anymore. This is going to change a lot of shit, you guys. Like a lot. It's going to be a very big change. Super interested in how that works. Skills, the small refresh skill, the one that you used to get off of what's his face, the street gamer, now has a limited number of charges, 5, 10, 15, 20. So the first couple times you get some heals and then it spans off. That's great. That thing was way too overpowered in terms of cleansing. Into the Void is now the first time you use an item, destroy an item on each player's board for the fight, which means it isn't start of combat destroy, it's after you do something. This could be super interesting for like cash out mechanics. Like put this on your giant club build and then like you swing and then pray. Like if I didn't kill you, then we both go to, I don't know. It's funny. I love it. It's just so that there's not start of combat destroy, which can then trigger shit because they've been kind of getting rid of all the start of combat stuff. But I feel like you can now get away with this sometimes on things that were like, you should one shot, you like Vat of Acid, you dump all your poison and burn with the multicast and then say fuck it all and you're okay if that explodes, right? Something like that. I think like this is really cool for you wanting to like go into a Hail Mary board and maybe running it because it's funny. I like it. I like it. There are things. Yeah, I would still never pick it up. Well, no. Now I might pick it up. It's not helpful, but it's now in some instances not tragically hurtful. In very few instances, but in some, it's not tragically hurtful. All right, we're gonna go to the patch notes. Proboscis, they cannot figure out how to balance this item. They have decided they're going to remove the heavy enchant, and hopefully that helps because it's now no longer going to have the chance to charge itself. Cool. Douly got a bunch of buffs. None of them are massive, but they're all interesting. Yeah. It could be in one shot, especially fire and burn one shots. It totally could be usable. All right. The Diamond Core got a massive shield update to the item to the right of it, which is pretty good because like by the time you got there, the amount of shield scaling just completely fell off. I am almost for them upgrading this to 40. I don't think it would be too oppressive. But this gives reasons to keep running shielded core or armored core in a in a shield board. Brick Buddy is lowered to 5 seconds. I have a feeling we're all going to start seeing Brick Buddy starts again because that can become an oppressive amount of shield. Cybersecurity is down to 8 seconds at Diamond. So cybersecurity is back on the menu. There's a giant cybersecurity one-shot build. I don't know if you've ran into that because it hasn't been good in a minute, but that could be a thing. They fixed all the enchants on Forklift because they were really silly. They would like heal for the number of items to the left of this, and there were barely any. So now it's just a percentage of the item's damage like everything else is. Hacksaw, super interesting, can now destroy a small or medium item for the fight, and it doubles its damage when it destroys an item, which means if you can stack damage on this, you get to double that amount of stacking. That's kind of interesting, especially if it like happens after, you do some shenanigans. But it also means that theoretically this can run on a Momosaur board or on like the baby dinosaur board as like something that combat scales with the destruction. So interesting. I don't think it's good enough to make it good, but I would leave that to Douly players to figure out. They gave a tiny bit more burn damage on burn core at Diamond. This is the one I'm super scared of, interested in, panicking about. Kinetic Cannon comes down to 7 at Diamond. When you use a small item, charge the core 1 second. And it gains damage for the fight. So I don't know. I'm curious. I don't think you usually ran the core very often with Kinetic Cannon. Again, not a Douly player, not sure. But I think people are going to play with this because that's very interesting. It gives charge to your core off small items. It gives every small item charge effect on your core, right? Cannon itself doesn't have to do anything. It's a vehicle for like giving extra charge to your core from that. And then of course, Cannon itself does quite a few things. So that's super interesting. Nitrogen Hammer is now available at silver. Interesting. Freeze one item for 1 second, so it doesn't increase up. It's just flat. And then when you freeze, charge this 1 second and it gains 50, 100, 200 damage for the fight. So assuming they didn't change the one that is on what's his face, this barely changes the damage scaling on Frost Street Champion. He's still going to hit you just as hard. The hammer itself wasn't the thing that was charging itself. So this is going to be no difference on that fight. That fight is still as terrifying as it ever was if it was terrifying for you. It does mean you could kind of start running Nitrogen Hammer earlier. David Law, first time, man. Welcome, welcome. First time chatter. Do you have any knowledge about when they release Jules and or the other hero? We don't yet. We have heard that it might be on something like a 3-month cycle. So I am and we just haven't seen a lot of introduction of new items, which we saw in the lead up to Mac. So I don't think it's happening this I don't think it's happening this patch. Sorry, I'm about to get spammed in my Discord, so I'm going to close Discord so we don't hear that noise. It's not happening this patch. It's not happening next season would be my best guess. It'll happen the season after. I think it's going to be every 3 seasons is probably when we do it. So we got a no hero on 1, no on 2, maybe on 3, definitely by 4. But it's not going to be very often. They very much fuck their balance every time they do this, as we saw like how chaotic the game was once Mac came out. So Plasma Rifle is up to 10 seconds, and when you burn, this gains less damage, and charge this 1 second. So I'm a little terrified at what just happened to that monster fight that runs Plasma Rifle. You guys, that is not kosher. That was a clean clock. How bizarre. Hold on real quick. Plasma Rifle is on Shock Trooper. Okay. And it used to be a clean clock that you could wait for 2 cooldowns until he killed you. Now, whenever these guys go off, this guy starts charging. So the math is changed, and we're going to have to like remath this to figure out. It scales slightly less, but I have a pretty strong feeling that this is now down to like a 13 or 14 second clock before you're dead. I think this guy got terrifying. He got terrified. The good news is we don't have to fight him anymore because he has the same XP. He offers the same XP as everybody else. So unless you're like fishing for incendiary rounds, we just skip this boy, this monster of a monster. So that's a thing. That's a little terrifying. Railgun cooldown got reduced on Railgun, so Railgun might be back on the menu. Not at bronze. So wait, it looks like it moved to silver based on the way this reads. So it's no longer bronze. You find it at silver, so it'll be slightly less accessible. But it comes back down to 10. So it's a little nerfed early and it's stronger late. Okay, interesting. Wallace, they're just gonna keep tweaking Wallace until he's good, y'all. Cooldown 6 seconds. Weaponized core, again, they're just buffing the damage at 60. Okay, Mac items. You guys, I don't know what to tell you on this. I would really like it if I'm wrong. I'd like it if I'm wrong. I don't play Mac. I don't necessarily understand how much some of these things like the chunk of lead play into his total power level, but these do not seem like they are solving anything. Adrenal converter now hastes 1 item for 1 second instead of 2 seconds. Fractionally better, so your whole board will still probably be perma-hasted because you are spamming items. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the haste will fall off every once in a great while. Cool. I think. Barb Claws to 6 seconds. Cool. That's effective. Basilisk Fang is now a relic. All right. Peace Rot. They only added 1 second to Peace Rot. Okay. And then instead of getting a chunk of lead, when you destroy an item, you gain 2468 gold. So you're destroying the item, putting its value on your Peace Rot, and then you're getting some gold recovered back from that, but you weren't getting a chunk of lead that you could destroy into a chunk of gold that you could then destroy onto piece rot, right? Like, so piece rot allowed you to just keep creating infinite lead that you could get rid of and then keep destroying the lead into piece rot's value. So now you actually have to like spend money and find things to scale piece rot. I have never played with this item, so I don't know how much we were actually doing that. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's now going to actually eat a decent amount of money in order to be viable, or you're just going to use it as an econ play and you aren't going to care about its actual value. You're just going to eat kind of poor things. So the crazy thing about this is you can use this to eat your chunks of lead that somebody else gives you and then gain free money and convert the chunk of lead into gold, right? So this is very much a income generator if you want to use it as an income generator. But in terms of it gobbling things with value to scale really, really strong, you're just not going to have, like, you could still, every chunk of lead you have convert to gold by eating the chunk of lead, and then you get free money back. And then you could eat the gold to put the gold value on the thing. But it's just not it's not producing the lead itself. So anyway, all of that to say, you have to go elsewhere to find the things this is going to gobble. It's going to slow down a little bit in its scaling because it's not like infinitely providing for itself. But I think this is still a goddamn menace. I kind of wish, I think when items are so OP that they're just like hated, they should nuke it from orbit for a patch and then bring it back so that people just aren't sick of it. Because if this is still mediocre strong, we're all just gonna mauled every time we lose to it, right? We're just like so sick of losing to this item that it doesn't even matter if it's like not good anymore. We're just still gonna be angry about it. And so if you let it go an entire patch being as broken busted as it was, then you will not resolve that animosity by just bringing it into line. It needs to be punished for its crimes, and then it can be let out of the doghouse. This ain't it, man. This ain't it. Welcome so much. Welcome.
Your bros has joined the Goose Mafia.
Sorry, I thought I turned off the alerts, but apparently I didn't. So welcome. This is not going to be as good of a video as it normally is, but what are we going to do? I am also just lost my page where I can actually see who subscribed. So I'm sorry so much, whoever just followed. I really appreciate you. Just watch your pig guide. I know the passionates switched a bunch of stuff, but excited to see some gameplay. I might do one game right after this. I was just coming in to do the passionates, but maybe we'll do a game. All right, recycling bin. When you use a potion, transform into a potion for the fight and gain, they increase the regen scaling on recycling bin. And then they also, we'll just go down here because it matters, increase the scaling damage on Vial Launcher when you use a potion. This was a pretty strong combo back in the day in the first place. When you reload or transform a potion, you deal damage for the fight. So basically you got Vial Launcher on one side, you got your recycling bin on the other, and then every time a potion goes off, it becomes a new potion and this thing punches you in the face. And every time it does it, it gets regen for the fight, and that regen is pretty well scaled. So I have a feeling this build's going to come back and it's going to be a little obnoxious. Cool. I like that build. That build was fun. Shred of Obsidian goes up by a second. Sifting Pan has the regen tag. Cool. Staff of the Moose. Thank God it's gold instead of silver, so it's going to be a little harder to find. The scaling basically stays the same on it. It's a little less at gold. And then the regen basically is the silver and gold values instead of the diamond value. So the regen came down by 25. That's fine. I don't think that changes that at all. And then, I don't know why, but Test Subject Alpha is now a second faster and has significantly more poison scaling. Holy shit, you guys. He's gonna run amok. He's gonna be one of the new. Yeah, he's not gonna be fun. We are gonna skip Pig really quick. We're gonna go to Vanessa and then we're gonna come back. We save our dessert for the end, boys. Mr. Richardson is aquatic, as all monkeys are. Here. Basket Pete. For each friendly adjacent friend or property, this gains 1 multicast instead of burn. Interesting. I'm not entirely sure how terrified I should be of this. I mean, it can only get 2, and the burn scaling was brutal early. So Pesky Pete on day 1, if somebody manages to get it, might not be as heinous, or it might be, I don't know, because it's hard to get, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not the guy who will know it, but it does mean that it probably works a little bit better in like your Tortuga packages, since it is a friend that's swinging more often. Although I don't think his cooldown was good enough for him to make it there anyway. I don't know. I don't play Vanessa. We'll have to watch if it eats our face. Water Wheel. Cooldown was reduced by 2 seconds at all tiers. That's spicy. We will probably see some Water Wheel enablers. I'm pretty good with that. Yep, the changes are absolutely live. Okay, according to Sameton, the nerf is brutal on Peace Rat. I wish Walter were here. I'm sure he's got better things to do. But because we kind of just came live just to do this. Because he plays a shitload of that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it is. And then the Into the Void and small refresh skills that we already talked about. So let's go to the main menu. For the most part, it is nerfs, and most of them are well deserved. This one I do not understand. I just don't get this. I will answer Drum in a second. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Atlas Stone starts at 9. Cool. You could get it at bronze, boys. 1 damage Atlas Stone. Huzzah! Starts at 9 seconds and works down to 6. So functionally, the way Atlas Stone is supposed to work is that you put it in your stash early. You ain't gonna run it because it's hot garbage. And then you grab as many feathers as humanly possible and you dump them on Atlas Stone while it is 9. And then after you brought it down to, like, let's say 7 seconds or whatever, then it takes a second off each time you go down. So we've done, this used to be a thing we did in the old world, which is a lot of items had cooldown reduction as they went down. And they were, the broken thing about it is that CDR that you apply to the item at 9 stays and is not ratioed down when you go down sections, which means that if we can get 2 seconds off this thing's cooldown and then start upgrading the bad boy, it's going to go from, like, if I got it to 7, it'll go to 6, to 5, to 4. And now suddenly this is a usable item, right? Versus trying to drop a bunch of feathers on your 6-second item takes a while to get it down. So it just means getting it early gives you more time to scale the cooldown reduction and makes that cooldown reduction scaling more effective as you level the thing up. So this, which is interesting because now it makes it kind of a pig item. Now it feels like an out of combat thing I got to work my ass off on so that I can get some hot nonsense a little bit later. I will play with it. I am confused, interested, will play with it. Beehive, totally saved, boys. We added 5 extra damage at the gold and 10 extra damage scaling at the diamond. Done. That's all it needed. It's not that when you buy a property you get 2 bees and so you have to find a natural beehive in the wild 3 times to get a full set of bees, and in between each one of those purchases as you're doing the scaling, it's not going on the bees you don't have yet. It's not that at all. That's not the problem. That's not what murdered this build. It's the damage scaling. Cool? Question mark. Now, that being said, Whispers had a disgusting screenshot that he put in our Discord of him actually getting 3 different beehives and getting all 3 of them enchanted. Like, I don't know how hard you had to work for that run, but all of the enchants apply to all of the bees, but he was running, like, 4 bees. So, I don't know if you want to work that hard. Giant Ice Club. This got hit very, very, very hard. Wait, this is reading any item. Is this correct? So this is data mine, so I tend to trust this more than what they put in their patch notes. But if we come up here to pig items, Ice Club says when you freeze, charge this 2 seconds. This is a humongous distinction. We're going to have to see what happens in game. This is the difference between Ice Club getting mildly nerfed and Ice Club being close to dead. Not close to dead, but Ice Club being hard countered by freeze. That is a massive difference. That's a huge difference. So anyway, the text is it went from 12 to 10, but it went from 3-second charge to 2-second charge. They already did this to us before. It was getting 4 charges per freeze. Now it's getting then 3. Now it's getting 2 charges per freeze. They brought the total cooldown time down 2 seconds to mildly compensate. So you went from needing 4 freezes to swing your club to needing 5 freezes to swing your club. Okay, that's the change. But as long as it reads when any item gains freeze, we're fine. This is fine. This is just a little bit harder. It's great. I love it. It should be a little bit harder. If it reads what they put here in their notes, which I'm guessing no, because I trust Bazaar way more than I trust these guys to when you freeze, if it's when you freeze, then it's dead. Not dead. I mean, we'll still play it. But if it's when you freeze, then the counter to Ice Club is freeze instead of freeze being an activator, right? Now it can get permanently locked down. The board doesn't tend to run very wide. It probably means that doing the matchbox spam, what's it called variant? The ice cream truck variant is a little bit safer than doing like the double swing fort variant, where you run really thin on your board and you're very subject to being full freeze lockdown. So again, I'm going to trust Bazaar, so I think this is just a mild nerf. But if it's what they say, then Ice Club is freezable, and the mirror match will take 14 years. Will be really fun. So we'll see. We'll have to see. Yeah, if it's any item, it's just a slight nerf. Be high for the win. Yeah, we're gonna play so much Atlas Stone. We're gonna play something else too. Something else. Hitting a wink. It's coming. A lady got a second increase on all of its times. That's cool. Our weapons did get a little bit fast. This and Ring King going up a second are some of the real nerfs to Jabalion Drum. They did not change much else. So in terms of the rest of our kit of weapon stuff that we got from the new patch, this is a response to their power level a little bit, but it's not much of one. They're still great. Both of those are still really good. So that's great. Drum, however, had its damage scaling almost completely. I think that is completely reverted to old Drum. They went, whoops, never mind. Sorry about that. We lied. We're gonna move that back. I think Drum's still good. I think it's harder now. The thing is, if you had a golden drum on curve, you just won. You won. This is now not reached to the moon scaling, which means that like drum falls off a little harder in the late game, which is good. It should. And then some boards, particularly mid-range boards, are going to have a chance against you where they didn't before. We're still probably going to outrace face rush boards. We're just the full board haste of it all is still brutal for everybody else. But there is a spicy meatball that you get to put in this sadness spaghetti that we'll talk about in a second that may or may not change this. So hold on. Before we get there, I'm not going to show you. You might already know, but we're not going to look at it. Showcase. They reduced its scaling by 5 across the board. Well, then I guess Showcase is fucked. Actually, not even across the board, just at the bronze, silver, and gold. So this went from, let's just be abundantly clear. It used to be the Ganjo, the best in combat damage skiller that existed in the game for a few minutes, gave you at diamond 25 damage on the items to the left and the right of it. Now, Showcase, taken out behind the woodshed, Shot Boys, at silver, it only gives 25 damage to every weapon on your whole goddamn board. Why do they think this is enough? I don't know, man. I kind of want to laugh. my way all the way to the bank. Showcase is still amazing. Play Showcase. Do not stop playing Showcase. That's awesome. They're gonna hit this 4 more times. This is nuts. This is still the great item. Snowmobile. You guys. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Okay. You can't find it in the bronze anymore, so it is not chunking up our bronze pool. That's cool. Nothing is kind of worse than seeing that on middle on day 1. Awesome. But you kind of want to find it now. Because it starts at 8 seconds, goes down to 6, which again, we talked about CDR reduction and what that means. So we can maybe get this down to 5, maybe 4 if we're very diligent on it. Not necessarily where I dump all of my work in, but you could. But then, instead of when this gains haste, it's when you haste or freeze. It's when you haste. This with drum means every single time any weapon swings, this charges 2 seconds. And we could probably get this down to 4 seconds. Definitely if you get it up to diamond, it's at 6, right? So when it swings, it charges itself too. So at diamond, you only need 2 weapons to swing for this to swing, right? So if you just have double yo-yo and this is infinite. And it already has embedded combat scaling, right? So we go to Bazaar items and we look up Snowmobile. At diamond, this gains 30 damage for the fight every time it swings, and it can be infinite. So not only is it getting, like, it was getting 15 damage every time any weapon swung from the drum, and we saw how powerful that was. This is only getting 9, which is the new drum scaling, and plus 30. So you can get this infinite very, very fast if you get anything else infinite. But even if you don't get it infinite, even if you just have a regular board, every time 2 other items swings, right? And then the first time this swings, it's hasted. And so now it's down to 4 seconds because its own haste took 2 off its cast time, and it's hasted. And so in 2 more seconds, this thing's going to swing, right? So this thing is going every 2 seconds by itself the moment it's a diamond on a drum board. That's spicy. The other thing is, even before you get drum, even if you don't want to run drum, you could run Shadowcloak with this boy and put a flail, put a lady, put a whatever you want there. But let's say you get Shadowcloak to silver and you get yourself a flail. Takes you 7 seconds for Shadowcloak to do Shadowcloak things. But now, every 3.5 seconds, you are getting 3 hastes, which are making that thing swing once or twice, and it has in-combat scaling, right? So on a medium size, on a day, you'd have to be lucky to get these 2 things, but on a day 2 board, you can have Shadowcloak, Flail, and this fucker, and then you have Obscene. Like, that thing would be hitting like a truck for day 2, day 3, maybe day 4. That combo is going to be a thing. We're going to play with Snowmobile. It is going to make some boards at this. This is good. This is good. We are excited. We're very excited. When you haste. So this might salvage drum, especially early when you didn't have like a lot of activators on drum. Now this thing is just a fast weapon that's on your board. Other things are getting it into combat pretty quickly. It's going to haste itself and charge itself, right? And take 2 seconds off its own cooldown. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So is drum dead? No, it's alive. It's a little slower. It's still pretty good. You play it exactly the way you used to, except now you try to squeeze in a Snowmobile, especially early when you have a lot of slow weapons still around. That's it. That's it. That is the whole thing. We got a teeny tiny bit of nerfs, completely depending on if Ice Club is when you freeze or when any item gains freeze. I trust how Bazaar, because this is scraped from the actual data that's coming over, so I'm pretty sure this is how it plays. So we'll have to see our first Ice Club in game. I think somebody typed up the Bazaar patch notes, so they just wrote you and didn't understand that that would be a functional, very large change. They also didn't capitalize it as they usually do when they make that type of change in the patch notes, so I'm guessing that was unintentional and badly worded. So this is a mediocre nerf to Ice Club. It's fine. It's still just as playable as it was before. It is a little less overpowered when you are running a phono next to it, because also taking down the cooldown means that you don't get as much additional value of charge to swing ratio when you phonograph this thing. So you could get it to 2 freeze casts in order to swing when this was diamond phonoed. Now it still takes 3 to get it to swing when it's diamond phonoed, so that's fair. Totally fair. Needed to happen. It's been needing it for a while. So that's it. I think the super interesting things to recap are Atlas Stone is, we're gonna fiddle with it. It might be playable. Ice Club being not whatever. Drum hopefully being a little bit more in line. I kind of like how OP that was. Don't even look at Showcase. It's the same thing. Don't even pretend like anything changed. And then Snowmobile, we're gonna play with. Might get some fun out of this. So the new toys, the new shiny Snowmobile and Atlas Stone, we're gonna hop into games. We're gonna see if we can make them work. We're excited about those too. And then the last really, really big changes that we're all gonna have to get our arms around is just the massive amount of XP loss. Just like tons of XP loss. We're not going to find Mountain Pass nearly as often. We're not going to get the free XP encounter. Monster is going to give us 2 skills, give us a choice of 2 skills. It's still pretty strong though. I'd still probably Toy Food Friend and go to Monster. But like now you're going to build your board before you go to Monster. You're not going to go to Monster first. And then Radiant, so the enchanted item got a little bit better. Yeah. That is it. And then all of the monster XP flattened except for the diamond and legendary. And they're only 1 more, so it does not actually make them worth going to if you have a better skill or something from somebody else. So I love it. I'm ready. I'm gonna post this a little bit later, and then I think we're gonna jump into a game because folks want to do a game. So that's it for the recording. Thank you guys so much. Yeah. Go try out Atlas Stone, I guess. What a wild world.